Okay, it's recorded. Sorry about that. So we're going to create the sketch. We already selected the YZ plane where we're going to create the sketch. Similar to other 3D CAD programs, you got your basic forms like a rectangle, a line, an arc, or a circle. So what I'm going to do for this one, I'm just going to create a rectangle first. We got 3 different types of rectangles. We got the regular, like corner to corner, and then we got this one, the 3-point, and then we got the from center. I'm going to select the third option, which is the from center. And then I'm going to select the, if I hover over like the origin, it's going to, like a yellow point is going to pop up, and that's just letting you know that's the origin of this particular sketch. So I'm just going to click on that origin, click the 16 point. Then I'm just going to do it 3 inches. And then I'm going to click tap twice or just once. And then on the angle portion, I'm just going to keep it at 0. That way it doesn't move around. That way it's straight line 0. Also, to pan to your workspace, you just hold shift. And then if you have a mouse with like a scroll wheel, you push down on that scroll wheel while holding shift. And if you just move your mouse around, you can just pan through the workspace. So for the height, I'm just going to make it 4 inches. And then I'm just going to click escape. Let's say you come off plane and you want to go back to where you're normal to your sketch. What you would do is you would just go up here. It's called, right now it's in trimetric, but if you click on it and you just click front, and click you to the front. But in this case, I was sketching on the left. I don't know if you guys caught that. So next thing, I'm gonna do a arc over here on the top. You click on it, or if you want the keyboard shortcut, it's just the letter A on your keyboard. I'm gonna select this bottom point, and then I'm gonna hover on the top line. And if you hover on the top line or whatever, any sort of line, for more than like 1 second, it's gonna give you like the midpoint of that line as well. It's gonna kind of highlight it for you. So I'm just gonna move my mouse cursor to that midpoint and then have it locked in there, and then just select it. And then for the radius, I'm gonna do, let's see. For the radius, I'm gonna do 5 inches. And then just left click. And click escape. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a straight line this time. Keyboard shortcut for that is letter L. And once again, I'm just gonna hover over the bottom line. That way I can get that center point, hover over it, lock into place, and then just create an arbitrary straight line just for reference. Because the length of it doesn't matter, it's just gonna be for reference. Or play my mouse, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna click on the end point and then just drag it all the way up to the very top over here. You guys are good so far?
What value do we use for the radius?
The radius, I use 5. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the direct sketch over here. And then I'm going to select quick trim, or keyboard shortcut is the letter T. And this is just going to trim off any line that you don't want. And if you just hover over a line, it's going to highlight in red. And if you want that line to be deleted, you just click on it. I'm going to delete this top one. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete this one as well, up here in the top. Delete this one. Delete this one over here. And then I'm just going to close out of it. So what we have here is basically half of the cross section of the rocket nose cone. For that though, I'm going to do a pivot, which is the letter F. I'm going to do or I'm just going to do this later on. So I'm not going to add a pivot. So now that we have our 2D sketch, now we're going to make it into a 3D model. So what we're going to do is going to.
What do we do to delete?
Whenever you want to get out of like an operation, you just press escape, and it just pulls you out of whatever you're trying to do. If you're trying to do like a circle or an extrude or whatever, just click escape, and then it just pulls you out of that operation.
Yo, Alex, there's like an overlap. One of the lines, is that gonna cause an error or no?
Right. Oh, that's a catch. So that was a good catch by Harry.
That's what I'm here for.
Quick trim again, letter T. And I'm going to select the one that's inside. Trim it. Okay, now we're ready to convert it to 3. So we're going to go to this extrude. You can click on that drop down arrow, and you're going to click Revolve. So NX is pretty good at like automatically identifying like kind of what you want to do. In this case, it already selected our 3 curves. The first curve being this arc, and then the second one being the straight one, and then the third one being here. But in more complex sketches, you might have to individually select the particular sketch or lines that you want to extrude. But in this case, since it's a basic sketch, you already kind of selected what you kind of want to do. Next thing is we're going to select our axis, but we're going to revolve it around. So click on specified vector, and then we're going to select this line over here, and then it's going to automatically revolve that initial sketch 360 degrees to make a solid from it. Now we kind of have this kind of nose cone looking thing. Click OK. So now I'm going to go to I'm going to click on here and then select front. That way our view orientates to the front view of the model. So as you can see right now on the assembly navigator, we're currently working on a nose cone. That way, the way you know, like I said, is when the particular part name is bolded. But what we want to do now is go back to the assembly. So we want to go back to where the starship name is highlighted or under in bold. So two ways you can do this. You could right click and then click on the first option, which is work on displayed assembly. Or you can just double click on the assembly name. And then it's gonna become bold. And that's how you know you're back in the assembly portion of it. Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna go back to the nose cone part. So I'm just gonna double click on it. And then I'm gonna go 2 blocks down, which is a part navigator. And then like I was saying earlier, it just shows you like all the operations you've done to this particular part. So as you remember, we first did the sketch. And then after we completed the sketch, we did a Revolve extrude on it, which it shows here. And in the future, if we had to do any corrections and let's say you needed to go back to the sketch, we just double click on it and it will take you back to the sketch and then you can adjust your dimensions accordingly. Or if you had to go back to the Revolve and change something else, you just click on it, right click it. And you would be able to edit it.
Hey, really quick for the Revolve. I got caught up and I'm not doing it correctly.
Okay. Where are you at particularly?
I have the sketch right now.
Okay, so you're in sketch. Let's see, let me order it. So do you have something similar to this, to where you have the half cross section of the nose cone, or
Yeah.
Exactly?
Yeah, I just need to do the Revolve now.
So you would go under, right now it's grayed out because I already did the operation, but
Yeah.
let me just delete this and do the Revolve again. That would be straight. If for whatever reason you want to delete some sort of operations you've done, you just right click it and then you just click delete, and then you just deleted the Revolve. So I'm gonna go back to the sketch. This is where you're at, right, Miguel?
Yeah.
But what you have right now, you're gonna see something like extrude, right? You have an extrude option. You're just gonna click on a down arrow, and then instead of extrude, you're gonna click on Revolve.
Yeah.
It should automatically select your 3 curves. You know this by the curves being highlighted in yellow.
Okay, yeah.
And then under the axis, under the specific vector, click on that. And then since we want to revolve it under this particular axis, the one that's highlighted in this particular line, which is highlighted in red, just click on that, and then it's gonna automatically do your
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
then just click OK on it. So now I'm gonna go back to the Starship assembly. So I'm just gonna right click. This time I'm gonna do it this way. I'm just gonna right click and then click on work on display assembly. It's gonna take you back to the Starship assembly. So now we're gonna add another part number. So go under assemblies, create new, make sure it's model, make sure it's inches. And I'm just gonna name this ends. If that's okay, just click OK. Don't worry about this, just click OK. Go back to where you're facing the front view of your model. So over here, click on the drop down, front, or Control, Alt, and F at the same time. Now on the assembly navigator, I'm going to double click on the fins part number. You can see that the nose cone is going to kind of gray out a little bit. Same thing as before. We're going to start a sketch. Click OK. For in this particular case, I'm going to do it on the XZ plane. Click on it. Should kind of highlight in like a yellow color. Click OK after you selected the XZ plane. Now I'm going to do a rectangle, but this time I'm going to do the first option of the rectangle, which is by 2 points. Click on it. And then, so you're going to see this menu over here where it says within work part only. What this means is right now we're in sketch mode. And right now I can't really like snap into the nose cone because it's like grayed out. So I can't really use it as a reference because we're within work part only. So if I wanted to use like another part number as reference for my sketch, I'll just click on this drop down menu and click entire assembly. You click on it. Now your sketch can like snap into another part number basically. Like another part that has particular geometry, you could just snap into it. In this case, I'm gonna hover over the lower portion of the nose cone. And then as before, you're gonna see like that center point of that particular line highlight. I'm just gonna hover over that with my mouse. That way it kind of locks in there. Select on it. So usually when you have more than one thing, NX is gonna give you this little pop-up window where it's gonna show you like which point do you exactly want to go to? You want to go and point on a curve or the arc center? In this case, I want the arc center. So I'm just gonna click on it. And then one of the points on that rectangle that I'm gonna make is gonna be locked into that particular arc center that I selected. So for the width, I'm just gonna do, 2.25 inches. For the height, I'm gonna do 4 inches. And then I'm just gonna left click anywhere on the screen and it's gonna lock into place. Next thing I'm just gonna do a line. And then I'm just gonna hover over this line that's highlighted in yellow. I'm gonna find its center point. Select that center point. In this case, it's the midpoint. Then I'm gonna keep the angle at 0. So I'm gonna click tab and then on the angle, I'm just gonna click enter. That way it locks it in at 0. And then I'm gonna do it all the way up to this line over here. Now I'm gonna do some trimming around of lines, so quick trim or T on your keyboard. Select this line, select this line, select that line. Should be left over with like roughly a square looking geometry. So now I'm going to select this bottom line and I'm going to make it a fixed constraint. So you select real quick, you just select on it. And then you have an option of making it a reference. In this case, we're not going to make it a reference. And you can make it a constant angle. You can make it a bunch of different constraints, constant length. In this case, I'm just going to make it fixed. Click OK on this particular notice. And then I'm going to dimension it. But in this case, it's already kind of dimensioned. So I'm just going to click on the number 2. And then make it 1.5. Or 1.75. So 1.75. Close. Select this 2 inches instead of 2.25. So just double click on the little dimension. Instead of 2.25, I'm just gonna make it a solid 2 inches. So right now we're basically done with our sketch. So we're gonna, instead of revolving it, we're gonna extrude it. So we're gonna select the drop down arrow and then select extrude. And it's already automatically recognized that we want to extrude these 4 lines. I'm just gonna click on my center scroll wheel, hold it, and just hover my mouse. That way you kind of scroll in 3D. So this is the extrude function. For this particular case, I want it to be like a mid-plane extrude. So I'm going to select that. To the end, I'm going to select that drop-down menu, and I'm going to select symmetric value. And as you can see, the sketch is right in the middle, and then it extrudes both ways. In this case, since the sketch is in the middle, the 0.125 is it's both ways basically. So if you were to take a thickness reading, it would be a quarter of an inch because it's going 1.25 one way from the sketch and then 1.25 the other way. So if you just wanted it to be 1.25 like total thickness, you would just do half of that. So that was good. Click OK. Okay, so real quick. So under the extrude function, there's a bunch of other stuff you can do. Like, it's not like SolidWorks where Extrude Cut has its own like individual button. In this case, if you ever want to do like an Extrude Cut, you would have to use the same function I'm using right now, Extrude, but instead of selecting Unite or Intersect or anything else, you would select Subtract, and it's basically the same thing as an Extrude Cut in SolidWorks for people that are familiar with SolidWorks. But most of the times, like I said, NX is really good at kind of knowing what you want to do. So if you just leave it as inferred, it's going to automatically know that either you want to do like a 3D extrude or extrude cut. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it as inferred because I already know what it's going to do. It kind of shows you right here what it's going to do an extrude. And then just click OK. So there you have it, the fin. So obviously this is not a very aerodynamic fin you want to use in a rock. So we're going to make it a little bit more aerodynamic. So under the feature section on the ribbon, we click chamfer. Then you just have to select a particular edge you want to chamfer. In this case, I'm going to just use this edge. And then instead of using the symmetric portion of the chamfer, I'm going to select offset and angle. So I'm just going to do, let's try 1 inch first. Edit like 52 degrees, 1.25. Angle 50 and then distance 1.25 inches. Click apply. And then we're gonna do another chamfer, but this time it's gonna be a symmetric. So go back to that drop down menu, just select symmetric. And then when you select this edge here in the bottom, change it to like 1/8 of an inch. We'll make it 3/16. And click OK. That looks better. You guys have any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Anybody stuck somewhere?
I'm good so far.
Okay, so next thing is we're gonna basically get rid of this, like, thing.
Oh, excuse me. You mentioned that this is being recorded, right? So you might pause it later, like for future reference.
Yes, so right now it's being recorded and I'm gonna upload it to the chat. And then if you guys wanna go through it in the future, you guys are welcome to do it.
All right. Thank you.
So I'm gonna go back to front view. As you can see, this portion that's intersecting the nose cone, we wanna get rid of that portion and just have that outer portion of the fin. So what we're gonna do here first is go under the feature area of your home tab, select more. And then this is where maybe your NX is not set up correctly or the features are not all selected to show. But in this case, I'm gonna select split body. Does everybody have that?
My like interface or whatever doesn't have that, so I've been using the top right search feature.
Right, I was about to say that, like the top right, you can search anything and it's gonna, anything related to features and it should pop up. So if you don't see it on how I pulled it out, just go to that search bar over here in the top right and you just click search for split body. Is everybody good?
Yeah.
So split body window is gonna pop up. First thing it's gonna tell you is select like the target geometry or part that you want to split. So in this case, we want to split the fin. So I'm gonna just hover over it with my mouse and it's gonna highlight in red. So select it. I'm gonna show that it has one body selected. And then the part underneath, the tools section of it, it's just basically like what you're gonna use to split the body. Like what kind of tool are you gonna, like what geometry is gonna be used to split the body. In this case, we're gonna use the nose cone to mark the splitting edge of the fin. So I'm gonna click on select face or plane, and it's gonna hover over the nose cone, and it's gonna highlight in red. Select it. Click OK. And now your body, your initial extrude that we did for the fin has now been split into two bodies. You got the one that's like inside the nose cone, which we want to get rid of, and then the outside, which we're gonna keep. So next thing we're gonna do, in my index, I have it down here, but you guys don't have it, you can use the search bar. I'm gonna use Deletre Body. Deletre Body pop-up one is gonna show. And then you're just gonna hover over the split body that you wanna get rid of. In this case, it's this portion that's highlighted in red. Click on it, it's gonna let you know that you've selected a body. And click OK. And now we only have this outer part of the fin that we actually want. So the next thing I'm going to do now is pattern this fin 4 times equally around the nose cone. To do that is we're going to go to pattern geometry, which I don't have in my drop-down menu, so I'm going to search it on in the search bar. Make sure it's pattern geometry and make sure it's not pattern feature. Click on it. Select the geometry. Under select object, it's gonna make sure it's highlighted in yellow, and then you're just gonna hover over the particular geometry you want to pattern. In this case, the fin. It's gonna highlight in red. Select it, and then under pattern definition, you got several different options. You got a linear pattern, which we're not gonna use, but that's just in case you want to pattern it linearly. In this case, you're just gonna use the circular pattern. Make sure under spacing, it's count and span and not count and pitch. So I'll show you right now what count and pitch is. So I'm just gonna select, for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna select count and pitch. So it's under count and pitch. We're gonna pattern it 4 times, which is gonna go from 0 to 90 degrees of a circle. So we first have to select the particular circle we want to pattern it around. So under select specify vector, I'm just gonna go and down and just select the bottom edge of the nose cone, which is highlighted in yellow right now. I'm gonna say what do you want to select? You want to select the face, the bottom face of the nose cone. In this case, I want to select the arc center. Which it doesn't let me use it because it's like the program can't do it, because like I said, in this particular case, we can't use count and pitch. We could only use count and span. That was just kind of showing you what, if you try to do count and pitch, that it wouldn't work. So yeah, count and span. We're gonna pattern it 4 times, 360 degrees of the selected circle. So select the bottom circle. You can see it patterned it 4 times, equal spacing. We like the pattern, so we're just gonna click OK. So I'm gonna go back to the Starship assembly. I'm just gonna right click and work on display assembly. You can tell we kind of got a rough looking nose cone going on. We got the nose cone, and then we got the fins. So basically we got this upper portion of the rocket. Now we could build the body of it, and then we got time today, we could do the bottom fins. So we're in Starship, assembly, go to assemblies, go to create new, make sure it's a model, inches or units, and then I'm just gonna name this body. Okay. I'm just gonna click OK on this. Then under the assembly navigator, we're gonna double click on the body part number. That's what we're gonna be working on next. Everything else kind of gray out. Go to home, create a sketch, and then we're gonna select the bottom face of the nose cone as our sketch plane. Hit OK. Now on the search bar, I'm gonna search something called project curve. I'm gonna click on the first option. In this particular case, it's actually the second option. There's two things that are called the same. Make sure it's the one that has like a smaller menu, because the first one has like a more complex menu, but that's not the only one to use. Make sure it's the one that has this more minimal output menu. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
So what project curve is basically you're gonna select, like right now we're in sketch mode, right? So what I want to do is instead of sketching a circle to match the diameter of the nose cone, what you can do is just select the face of the nose cone, and then it's gonna automatically like trace that diameter or circle or whatever geometry as a sketch. So in this case, we're in project curve. Under this drop down menu, right now, I don't know if this is the same as yours, but mine's under Infer Curves. What this drop down menu is saying is like, for Infer Curves, NX is going to try to kind of figure out like what particular curve you want when you select something. But in this case, I just want to select a particular face on a 3D model, and then just get the perimeter of that face and have that perimeter of that particular face that I selected, have it as like a 2D sketch. So I'm just going to select face edges, and then select the bottom face. And then what that just did was it basically created a circle sketch perfectly matched to the diameter of the face that we selected on the nose cone. We're still on the project curve, right? We selected the face. We're just gonna have the perimeter of that face. Click OK. Now we kind of have that circle that perfectly matches the diameter of the bottom of the nose cone. Pretty easy here. We're just gonna extrude that circle, make it into a cylinder. So under home, extrude, and then just, like I said, NX already kind of knows what you want to do. So already kind of selected that curve. How long do you want to make the rocket? Be a value. 12 inches?
How about 9?
Dang, I was thinking 12 too.
12 wins.
Wait, but I want to print this though.
I was about to say, that's printable. Unless we're using the ASME.
6.
6 inches?
6.
I'd go like 5. Because like 2 inches extra. Cause
5.5.
Y'all just want to save PLA.
I don't think I
No,
have
it's just gonna be walls, bro. No infill.
a large enough print bed, tall enough.
I'm gonna do it in
maybe
base
it's
mode.
good. Well, maybe it's good homework. Like, let's say you only have like a 5 foot high print what's it called, tolerance. Maybe you can go back into your model and just edit it to make it smaller. That'll be a good practice.
Or you can just scale down the print.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're using inches. Never mind me. I thought we were using like I thought we were using metric. My bad.
Yeah. So right now it's 5.5 the body, and then the nose cone is 4 inches, so 9.5 inches right now. So 5.5 it is. Click OK. Let's see, what do we have to do next? At the body, got a bunch of things we have to do in the bottom. So I'm gonna go back to my front view. And I'm gonna create another part number. Let me go back to the start script. So right now we're in the particular part number. Go back to the Starship assembly, and then under the Starship assembly, create a new part. Model edges, bottom pins. Just click OK on this. Double click on bottom pins part number, make it active. Now we're gonna go to home, sketch, select the, what's it called? Select the XZ plane. Click OK. And similar to how we created the frames in the nose cone, we're gonna do for the bottom ones. I'm just gonna create an arbitrary rectangle. Select the bottom portion of the extrude over here, and then find the center point. Make the width like 2.7. And the height, make it 3. Click on extrude. On the end portion of the limits, click on symmetric value, and then click on make the distance the same as the nose cone, which was 1/8. Click 1/8 of an inch, both sides. Should make it a 1/4 inch thickness overall. And then just click OK. Go to front view. This time I'm going to create another sketch on top of this face.
Oh, kind of like similar to the last one. to the last fence, right?
Yes, except this time we're going to do an Extrude Cut Command. We could get the thin geometry instead of doing the chafers that we use for the nose cone. We're gonna sketch it out and then Extrude Cut it. So where you want to create the sketch, that's what NX is asking you. You just select this front face of your extrude with the origin being over here, where it's, you can actually move it to the bottom if you wanted to. Depends on where you want to start your sketch. Click OK. And we're going to start sketching out the outer perimeter of the pin. So let's see. So we're going to have this delta looking geometry. So start with a line. And I'm just going to create a line arbitrarily here. And just arbitrarily select it here, anywhere. Doesn't really matter in the dimension right now. And then click Escape. And then Backroad Dimensions. This is the kind of dimensions your sketches. I'm going to select the edge of this extrude here. And I'm going to select the point here of the line we just drew. And then make sure. And then we can dimension it real quick. Let's make it 7/8. So we got this to 7/8 from the edge of this extrude. Now we're gonna dimension this endpoint over here. So we're gonna select this edge over here on top of the extrude, and then select the endpoint over here, and kind of do the same thing. Make it 1.75 inches. Once you're good with that, just click close. Then we've got another line we have to draw. Like I said, first we're going to start by just drawing it arbitrarily. So just click a random point on this line, click a random point on this bottom line. Then same thing, you're going to dimension it. If you click on this, if you want to be faster, you just click on D on your keyboard. So the bottom line, the endpoint. I'm going to do 5/8. Do the same thing for the other endpoint. Like this line, like the endpoint over here. We could do 3/4. We're good with that, so we just need to close it. So now we're going to do an Extrude Cut Command. So click on Extrude. Click on it. So it's not really doing a good job at finding out what we want to do. So let's see, let's go back. So what we can do is do a quick trim. So quick trim, or the letter T on your keyboard. And I'm just gonna I understand what it did wrong. So in this particular sketch, we only drew these lines, so they're not really closed. They're not closed loop, so we only have this line, and so we gotta close it out. So I'm just gonna do a line and just trace over the outer perimeter of the extrude face. So click on line, click on this edge right here on the edge of the extrude start point. Click on it again, and then make another line, and then close it out by selecting the other endpoint of the line. Same thing down here. Okay, now we should be able to do an extrude cut. So as you can tell, you can see I already selected our triangle that we want to do an extrude cut on. Just under Boolean, we're going to select subtract. And right now, we want to reverse the direction what it's going to subtract. So to reverse it, just going to go into directions, click to unspecified vector, under this like little X looking symbol. It says reverse directions, just click on it, and it's going to reverse the direction of the cut, which is what we want. Click OK. And we just did a extrude cut. So we're going to make this a little bit nicer by adding a couple of fillets. So in NX, they're called edge blends. In SolidWorks, they're called fillets, but it's the same thing at the end of the day. So just click edge blend, select the edge you want to fillet, and then just do, let's do 3/16. Same thing with this edge. This edge as well. Once you select all the edges, just click OK. Now we're going to split the body and then delete one of the split bodies. Same thing we did on the nose cone. So just go to a little bit more, or you can use the search bar as well. Go to more, and then find split body. Select the target body you want to split, and select the tool you want to use to split the body. In this case, it's going to be the body of the rocket. Right now, it's not letting me select it because we're only within work part only. But so remember, we have to go back to the entire assembly to select the body of the rocket to use as a tool to split the body. So make sure it's under entire assembly, and then you should be able to select the body of the rocket. Once you select it, you click OK. Now split the body in two portions. Now we're going to delete the portion that we don't want. So go to delete body, or look up delete body in the search bar and select the body. Click OK. Boom. Now just repeating some steps. Now we're just going to pattern it all around the rocket. So remember, it's pattern geometry. Select the body you want to, geometry you want to pattern. Make sure it's on the circular, and then select the specific vector you want to use as your guide. Once you pattern it and you like the way it looks, in this case, I'm going to do 2 instead of 4. Okay, like okay. We got one of the things, one portion of the things done. I'm going to go back to the assembly of the starship. So just right click, work on display assembly. Let's go back so far. Anybody else stuck or lost or have any questions real quick? All right. Now should be one of the last steps. We're going to create these 3 smaller extrude fins that you see on the picture. So we're under Starship, assembly number. We're going to go to assemblies, create new, create a model, make sure units are in inches. Just going to name this model. Click OK on this next menu. Double click on the new part number, on the new part name you created. And then should start. How do you guys want to do it? Do you guys want to do like the extrude cut or the chamfer method that we use in the nose cone to create these after we create the initial sketches?
Extrude cut.
Extrude cut I. So I'm going to create a sketch. Select the plane. I'm going to do it on the YZ plane. Click OK. For sketch, we're going to create a rectangle, the first option, which is by 2 points. I try to find this, make sure we're in the entire assembly over here, and then kind of trying to find the center line of this line to kind of find our center origin. You just hover over it and it's going to automatically punch you up. Do something like this. Let's say width. Let's have the height 2 inches and the width. 2.5. Width. Extrude. Then on the end portion of the limit, click on symmetric value, and then click on what's it called? 1/8 inch for the distance. Hit OK. I'm gonna create a sketch. Let's see, create a sketch on this plane. Let me go back to the picture to see how it looks. So they're slightly more rounded than the large ones we just made. So for this one, I'm just going to do an arc, so like an arbitrary point. So like the corner of the extrude. And I have like a 2-inch radius. Hold on, that's too much. So 1.75 inch radius. So correction, it's going to be 2.5 inch radius. As our final radius, and then just click on it. Like before, we're going to do a line to kind of close out what we want to extrude cut. So for this particular case, I'm not really going to assign like a particular length value for these lines. It's just going to be kind of arbitrary. Right there. Just connect the dots. Everybody good so far?
Yeah.
So we're going to extrude cut this weird geometry we just drew out. Extrude. Select the curves and then go to subtract. Make it subtract 1/2 inch on the opposite direction. And then click OK. So now we're going to do the bodies. Get the body. And after you do that operation, delete body. And now we could pattern it. Wrong operation. It's called pattern geometry. Transparent. Let's do 2. So another thing that I'm going to do,
How do you do that again? Like clone it?
feature. So let's go back real quick. So if you go under your part navigator, let me just delete it. That way I can show you how to do it. Delete it. So we had our original geometry, right? That we finished extrude cutting to the shape we wanted. So next thing we would do is go on your search bar and then in pattern geometry. click enter, and then only one option should pop up with the same name. Click on it, and then this pop-up window should pop up. You have that?
Yeah.
First thing you have to do under select object, you're just going to select the geometry you want to pattern. If you hover over your geometry, it's going to highlight in red. So click on it. That's the geometry you want to pattern. Under pattern definition, make sure it's under circular, not linear or any other option. Circular. Then under spacing, make sure it's under count and span, not count and pitch, count and span. And then under, okay, so we're gonna pattern it 2 times. This way,
Okay.
under count, and then it's gonna go 360 degrees basically. So around the circle.
So yeah.
So if you were to do it 4 times, it would pattern every 90 degrees, right? Because if you divide a circle by 4,
Yeah.
yeah. In this case, it's 180 degrees because it's 2. So under rotational axis, under specified vector, you just select the bottom edge of the extrude here to let you know that that's like the diameter of the circle that you want to use as a path to pattern. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then once
Thank you.
the line, you should see your pattern pop up.
Yeah. Good.
So just click OK. So one thing I'm going to do as well is go under the part navigator and then do a edge blend command, and then do an edge blend here. .3/16 of an inch for the radius, and then click OK on that. And as you're going to see, it only did it on this particular geometry. It didn't do it on the one we just patterned. And that's because of the hierarchy of how NX lays out its particular part navigator operations. Since edge blend is underneath the pattern geometry command, the particular edge blend that we did right now is not going to pattern. So if you want this to pattern to that one, we just left click, hold, and then drag it on top of the pattern geometry. And then as you can see, it patterns on the other side. That's the same thing for like any future edits that you do, they're going to be under pattern geometry. If you want to do like another edge blend or chamfer here, but you want to pattern it as well on the other one, you would just drag it or drag pattern geometry down.
Okay, so just like to make that on one of them, and then I can use pattern geometry to duplicate it again.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So now right click and then go to work on display assembly.
Yeah, being able to duplicate it just like that is really useful.
Yeah, that's a bunch of what CAD is, just making a bunch of patterns to just kind of speed up the workflow, making stuff symmetrical. That's kind of basically it. You guys want to add more stuff to the rocket, or you know, like whatever something looks or something? You guys have any questions? Yes. The next one, we could probably build the boosty portion of it. This is just the second stage.
Oh, well, I have a question. This is not exactly about the model, but it's more like do you guys use inches more than like metric, or do you guys use more metric than inches?
I would say in the design teams for ASME, we most likely can use inches.
Okay.
Most of the stuff.
Okay.
But I guess that depends on the team leads, whatever they decide to go for.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
which program will we be using more, SolidWorks or this one?
So the way I have it set up this year is we're gonna have a program called GrabCAD Workbench, which is basically like a cloud service where team members and teams are gonna upload their 3D models to that particular cloud service, and you can essentially use multiple 3D CAD programs and then upload that particular file format to GrabCAD Workbench, and that's gonna convert it to like a universal file format where
Whoa.
open it up.
Oh, really?
Where you could open it up in an NX or SolidWorks or Autodesk. So
That's really useful.
So it depends on, I guess, the team lead. Maybe the team lead just the team lead of the particular project. Maybe he just wants to do SolidWorks for some reason or NX. But it's more under the discretion of the team lead, like what he wants to do. But the option is there to use multiple CAD programs.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Conversations? Sleep?
Let's say whether I'm making a model and I get stuck and I refer to you guys, like if I need help or something like that, send you a message or maybe try to make a small Zoom call.
That's what we're here for, man.
Yes, sir. I'm available for sure in the weekends. You could message me anytime during the week and I'll get back to you within 5 minutes.
Also, there are references on YouTube. So if by any chance none of us get back to you or for questions, you can always reference YouTube. There's a bunch of videos about CAD in general.
Okay. Yeah, that seems really useful.
The thing about
Thank
NX,
you.
like there's not a lot of like tutorials on YouTube for NX. That's what I found out. If there are, they're like really outdated versions of NX that are like 2011. So it's kind of difficult to find good documentation on NX.
Yeah.
But
I guess
it's endless.
I guess there are gonna be some tutorials like on the NX app. So I guess
Yeah, there's definitely some like official Siemens like webcast kind of videos. Usually about pretty boring, 2 hours long, but you definitely can learn from those too.
Yeah, I've used Inventor before, and well, I was pretty decent at it. So it's yeah, but thanks to these tutorial, to this workshop, I realized it's pretty similar to it. So I guess I'll do good. I appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, questions?
From here, how would you convert it into the STL file to print?
Oh yes, my bad. So you would go to File, Export, STL.
Cool.
Okay. Well, if nobody else has questions, that basically concludes this training. Yeah, that should be it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Thanks, Alex.
Yep.
Well then, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day.
You too, man. Have a good day.
You too.
Take care, y'all.